The final episode of Battlestar had to be the biggest score that I've ever written for the show. It really hit me when I walked out onto the scoring stage and saw all the orchestral musicians, knowing that we'd also have all the live percussion and ethnic soloists and rock band and singers. And it was funny at that moment to think back at how the show started. The score in the beginning was very different. We only had 3 musicians. We started off scoring it in a garage, in the summer heat without air conditioning. And ever since then, it's just gradually grown and grown until we reach the finale. The first musician I called was M.B. Gordy, the percussionist. When we started, we were experimenting with all kinds of different drums.
And this is when we were in the garage now.
Yeah.
Very bohemian, but...
Yes. And the show started in July, I might add. There was no air conditioning.
It was pretty hot.
We actually had to do recording sessions at night. We couldn't record during the day because it was so bloody hot.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But I also remember we didn't have all of our combinations figured out yet.
As I recall anyway, you weren't sure how big you wanted to go. And then when I remember when you heard the big red, it was like, oh.
Yeah. Amount of overdubs that we do on this show, I think is, I mean, for especially for television, is pretty extreme. I mean, the amount of
it doesn't happen anywhere else.
That's what I was going to ask. When we recorded the finale, if you added up all the recording sessions that we did in a week in terms of hours, it would come out to over 100 hours. I remember we've done triple sessions, we've done 12-hour days, multiple 12-hour days in a row, where you're literally banging taiko drums all day long for 3 or 4 days. Has there ever come a point when you were about to snap?
Yeah. You mean mentally or physically, or both?
I was implying physically, but maybe mentally.
I was sore. I was pretty tired, and I felt it for a couple days.
Wow. And of course, at that point, we were only halfway done.
Exactly.
Recording the stuff we'd have to do.
Exactly.
That's awful. That's horrifying. I mean, it sounds great, but oh, man.
Paul Cartwright has been with us from the beginning. He's a violinist, but you might not know it from having heard him because he creates these otherworldly sounds using electronics.
I started fooling around with amplifying the violin when I was probably like the first year that I went to college. I played in this band with a few friends of mine. In like the several years between then and when we met, I went through a lot of different combinations of pickups and effects and amplifiers.
Yeah.
Until I found a rig that kind of worked and was versatile and I could make a lot of different like weird sounds with, but still sounded kind of good and violin-like when I needed it to.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, turn some of this stuff on.
All right, so you just step on a few of
Turn
these.
all of it on.
And then I got something more like a.
Well, that's different.
Yeah.
Every time I've asked you to do something new, I've discovered something new that I didn't know you could do. Didn't we have you one time play trombone into the pickup?
The violin pickup? Yeah.
So you were playing the trombone and using the violin as a microphone.
Right.
To run it into your effects.
Through the effects.
Yeah, to run it into our system.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we only did that once, but it was it was worth it. In the beginning, he was just creating atmospheres and pads and weird things like that. By the end of the first season, he was playing melodies, and certainly in season 2, 3, and 4, he's a major part of the melodic soul of the score. One of the other musicians from the very beginning was Chris Bleth. Chris plays the duduk among his many other instruments, which is how I heard about him, because I knew I wanted to use this instrument because I'm part Armenian and I wanted to use this Armenian instrument. Now, before the duduk, did you play any other ethnic
No, I
movements?
was clarinet, flute, oboe.
That was your
Duduk kind of put me into that general area.
So he's been an incredibly important part of the melodic aspect of Battlestar. MB plays the percussion and handles the rhythmic side of it. But if you're hearing a melody, especially if you're hearing a melody in season 1, it's almost just certain that it's Chris playing it. And so Chris was the one that I wrote all the thematic material for, and Chris is the one who plays all the different character themes. Cool. Chris brought along many other instruments that he plays. I realized very quickly he wasn't limited only to the duduk. The bansuri is an instrument that I hadn't even heard of before I met you.
Actually, for your stuff, a lot of the time, I think I play it less traditional because I try to open up and make it, broaden it.
The bansuri I found it's got a very breathy quality that makes it great for writing melodies you really want to stick out. The next musician that I brought in during season 1 was Steve Bartek. Steve is a guitarist that I've known about for years because I grew up being a huge Oingo Boingo fan, and he was the lead guitarist. Steve plays a lot of very unusual ethnic stringed instruments on the show. In our first session for Battlestar that you brought down, I was like, that's it. That's exactly it. It's perfect. Now just tune it up and then let's go.
And as you said it, I went, oh, shit. Because I knew it would never be in tune.
Yeah. Well, listen how buzzy that is. I mean, sounds like shit, and I love it.
This is a Romanian balalaika.
The thing that's interesting about this is that it cuts through the mix
Right.
really well, and we would put single lines on it. We wouldn't ever strum it
Right.
necessarily. So like if we had a layer of a whole bunch of strumming Portuguese guitars,
Right.
we put one or two of these on top playing a single line.
This is the electric sitar. But what it is it was just an electric guitar with a piece of ebony put on. The ebony is the same that's on a real sitar.
Yeah.
And all it does is make the strings buzz against it. So by
Wow.
putting this on an electric guitar, it suddenly kind of sounded like.
Before you met me, how many sessions did you use this on?
I used it once on I snuck it into an Oingo Boingo record.
You had to sneak it in.
I had to sneak it in.
I don't know if I ever wrote a big guitar piece that was in E, A, or G, or anything that was actually very friendly key-wise. Is my guitar music unnecessarily difficult?
Yes, but no.
That's what I thought.
It's not unnecessarily difficult.
It's necessarily
It's
difficult.
necessarily difficult. I always thought that you were avoiding some of that so that it wouldn't sound like a pop song. Even if you don't have perfect pitch, you hear a nice open G or a nice open E on a guitar, it's a pop song.
Yeah.
Because that's where you've always heard it.
Once I brought Steve Bartek into the score, it wasn't long before I brought in the bass player from Oingo Boingo, John Avila. John is, how else can I put this? John is a crazy bass genius.
A lot of people have in mind that bass should be this low-end, clean-sounding, warm bass, whereas the way I like bass to sound and the way I like to play my bass when it's the way it sounds is to have it nice and dirty and grimy and to me it just creates more of an emotion.
You're right. Look at that. Good ear. That's got to get in the video. John telling me how good my ear is. Yeah, that's
It's documented, man.
Matthew, when you're cutting this, you got to include the part where he compliments how good my ear is. Okay?
Turn it up.
Yeah.
His ears are great.
No, not Steve. Now Steve's just trying to get in the movie.
He's a swell guy.
All right, all right.
The one nice thing that you've done this season is that you've hired another guitar player.
Yes.
Because it used to be just me doing layer over layer over layer over layer.
We wore ties for the occasion. Steve and I both wore ties because it's important.
I wore a short one so it wouldn't get in my strings.
So in addition to Steve Bartek, we also had Brandon Roberts, my orchestrator, who also is an excellent guitarist, and Ira Ingber. The two of you generate ideas that you and me wouldn't have come up with on our own.
Look at his music. A lot of the stuff he'll actually write in right above it. It'll be clearly it's an E, the note E, but he'll actually write above it E, and then he'll put exclamation marks so he knows to play it hard. And then in other places, see, he puts C over E, which means I'm gonna try to play the note C, but if I play an E, that's all right. I don't care.
Oh, hey man. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Cool. I'm just showing him. I was just talking about your playing and how invaluable you are.
The good thing about Ira as a guitarist too is because his background's different than mine.
I introduced the bagpipe as the instrument associated with Adama and his family and his relationship with Lee. And this created a permanent place in the score for Eric Rigler. I use the bagpipe in two different ways. We use the uilleann pipes, which are Irish in origin, to create melodies. I also use the Great Highland Pipes, which are the bagpipes you associate with the word bagpipes. Very loud, very aggressive. They're the ones that are held up under the arm, and you see parades marching with these things. And I wanted to use them in battles because I always thought that's where they came from. That's the heritage of that instrument.
For all the years I've been playing and recording, some of these things I've never done before.
Yeah.
Many things I've never done.
I believe it.
Really, really cool.
I believe it.
Once the music is mixed and there's orchestra and taikos and ethnic soloists and dialogue and sound effects and explosions and gunshots, you will still hear these. You will always hear these.
One of the last musicians I brought into Battlestar is Dr. Osamu Kitajima. Doctor plays an incredibly rare instrument called the biwa, which is a traditional Japanese string instrument that's even rare in Japan.
Biwa was mostly played by what they call the biwa hoshi, which is like a street musician. Mm-hmm. You know, by himself, you know, telling battle stories, like, you know, right on the street.
One of the other instruments that I combined the biwa with in my writing was the shamisen, which is another Japanese stringed instrument. This one is very different. It's more guitar-like than the biwa. In fact, it's really almost like a Japanese banjo. It's got a very unique sound.
This one doesn't have a back because it's electric. It makes it louder. I play in the street, so.
Yeah.
But it has a little bit just more definition.
Yeah.
I read the blog. He has me down as the Yingwei Momstein.
I started using them a lot, especially in the episodes The Oath and Blood on the Scales. I wanted the score at this late point in the series to take one last little turn, and these guys provided that. vocalists have always been an incredibly important part of the Battlestar Galactica score. And of all the singers that have worked frequently on the series, the two most important, I think, are Rhea Yarbrough and Brendan McCreary. Rhea's voice has often been heard throughout the series singing in various languages.
Now, at the end, let's say, "So Say We All."
So say we all.
Not in
Oh, you want it
English.
in Latin? Oh, okay.
So we have "Ita dicimus omnes."
That would be so distracting.
Yes, or say it in Klingon. It's our last chance.
I've made her sing in Latin, Armenian, in Anglo-Saxon, in Sinhalese, basically every language other than English.
This is how Battlestar music happens. It happens through torture. 78684868. Who does he think he is? Who does he think? Bear, who do you think you are doing this?
One of the things we did in the final episode that we'd never done before was create a choir of sorts out of Rhea's voice. We had her overdub herself over and over again, I think up to 15 times. When Ron Moore first asked me to do a Battlestar arrangement of All Along the Watchtower in Season 3, I knew that the best person to perform this song was my brother, Brendan. Once we'd done that, then it kind of left room for you to start becoming more a part of the show. But there was that one song that I asked you to write for Escape Velocity.
That's right. The song turned out really great.
But it didn't end up in the episode.
No, it did not end up on the episode for a variety of reasons.
You know, fast forward then to the end of the series, and there's this scene in the strip club.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking when I saw it, immediately I go, well, hey, we can use Brendan's song. And I think that, you know, your voice is something that in our show is gone through the ages. And in fact, that was proven at the end of the show. Before Jimi Hendrix plays Watchtower, your song is on the radio. So that means that your voice has now been heard on Caprica before the attacks.
Yeah.
It's been heard by people on the in Battlestar during Season 3.
Yeah.
And now it's been heard by people on Earth on the radio.
150,000 years later.
Yeah. Great. What's our next one in this key?
9M52.
The biggest key in the universe.
9M52. That cue was the biggest cue that I've ever done for anything. It became a joke after a while how many musicians we had on this one piece of music.
This represents 250 guitar tracks. This represents 250,000 guitar tracks.
52.
And this is 2.5 million guitar tracks. For a total of...
This is really loud, so I want to warn you. Definitely not something you want to play in a room with somebody you like.
We're here recording drum kit and electric bass for the final episode. So Nate Wood, the drummer's out there. Every time I record with Nate, I wish that I had more music. We're gonna get done so quickly. 3 or 4 more layers of bass, and I think we've got it. I think on that last cue we just did, we have 9 passes of 3 tracks each.
Wow.
And we did 3 or 4 passes of the Uilleann pipes of 3 tracks each,
Wow.
all at the same time.
Can't wait to hear it mix.
So I think that's a bagpipe extravaganza. Here we go. And can I get a little less bagpipe in my monitor? Now this, Rhea, if we put you on this track, it literally means that every musician, including the rock band, the harmonium, the orchestra, the shamisen, the biwa, everything is on this cue. The only thing not on this cue is you. You hear the temp instruments doing Starbuck's theme there?
Yeah, I can
Maybe,
sing with them.
Yeah. What are those lyrics again?
Yeah, this is Starbuck's theme.
Are you sad, Bear?
Am I sad?
Are you sad to leave the show behind?
I know I'm gonna miss it. You know, I know that.
And does it feel like it's fulfilled its promise for you, like in your department?
More than I could have ever hoped. I mean, I started off adding underscore to the cable TV show. That was my job. And right from the get-go, I was encouraged and forced to do some pretty interesting things. I mean, in the end of season 4 here, the writers have written the music into the script in ways that are just incredible. My music leads them to the end of the series. I mean, it's not just like, oh, it accompanies their actions. It literally dictates the ending of the series.
It's bittersweet for him. I know it is. It has to be absolutely grand, but it's also goodbye, you know.
So I feel like we've all kind of come on this journey together, and it's just been really exciting. And I don't know if there will ever be a series like this in terms of music again. And I mean, in terms of everything, this show is very unique. But the musical side of it has just really been incredible, and I've just been, man, I'm so lucky to be a part of it.